Are you getting lured by all the beautiful color in the garden centers every spring and picking out a gorgeous combination hanging basket or container only to put it out on your patio or porch and have it just go downhill in the summer when the days are long and the temperature's rising? Well, if you're missing any one of these 3 tips that I'm going to show you today, you're going to continue to struggle. In this video, I'm going to show you how to grow large and luscious containers that beautify your home from spring to summer and late into the fall. Well, I just got done filming with Brooke at Studio 5 on KSL TV, but our segments are really short, and so I wanted to go into more detail on things you can do to have large, luscious containers all spring and summer long and into the fall. They asked me to come on Studio 5 and talk a little bit about how we can get our home planters to look a little bit more like mall planters and public spaces, as well as cities, small town main streets. And there are just a few things that we need to make sure that we're doing to be able to have our containers look that great all summer long. So those 3 things. Number 1, we've got to have enough volume for the roots. Big enough container to support and sustain life if we mess up over the summer, missing a watering or a lack of fertilizer. Number 2, we've got to have some sort of automated system to care for them, either drip irrigation or self-watering containers. And number 3, we've got to use the right genetics that will expand and get big and put on a lot of bloom. First, let's talk about container volume. Bigger is always better. It acts like a buffer the more soil volume you have. If we miss a watering or 2, the more peat moss and potting mix that's in there to hold water will help get us by and act like a buffer for those things we miss. The other thing that more soil volume does is it holds nutrients. We can put more slow release fertilizer, we can put more liquid feed fertilizer. Now, just a reminder, we don't use garden soil in our containers. We want to use potting mix so it's well drained. We want to get water to the roots and then get it away. Most plants do not like to sit in water, and you always want to make sure you've got drainage holes. These are brand new containers, got them from Costco for less than 20 bucks a piece, and they come without drainage holes so that you can use them indoors as well. But whenever you're planting outside, you've got to have drainage holes. So make sure you drill those out before you start planting. This is a 22-inch container in diameter, and that gives it a ton of soil volume. You can tell there's probably 5 or 6 gallons worth of root volume here for the roots to grow. But the bigger key, and more important than just giving room for roots, that potting mix will hold water and hold nutrients and keep it so that if you do miss a watering or you go a few hours or maybe even a day beyond your scheduled watering, it's not going to kill your plant. And so you want it, the more soil volume, the better. You want to make sure that you've got that buffer, and that only comes with more volume. So bigger is better for a minimum on container pots. If I'm going to invest in plants and put them in my yard, I want to make sure it's at least 16 to 18 inches. 20 to 30 is preferable, and you can get those types of containers on the cheap if you just shop around a little bit. For hanging baskets, it's a little different story. They are tougher to take care of, but definitely don't go lower than 14 inches on your hanging baskets, and 16 inches would be preferable. Now that's a big, heavy hanging basket. You want to make sure that you've got a hanger that'll support that, but more soil volume is always better. When I was on TV, I said the minimum container size I would go for something to last all summer long is like 16 to 18 inches. Now, there's a caveat with that. So this container size right here is a 14-inch container, but it's deeper than normal, and so there is more soil volume in there. So if you are going to go less diameter, make sure you go deeper. Make sure you get that soil volume in there. You want several gallons worth of potting mix to be able to get you by throughout the summer. The second thing we talked about is automating your system. So that means either drip irrigation on a timer, a sprinkler timer, to make sure that you get water to your containers every day, or twice a day in the heat of the summer, depending on how big or small they are. But one thing, newer technology that I like to use are self-watering containers. And we have these 3 gray containers here from Crescent Gardens that I'm just infatuated with. They have a large reservoir that holds water at the bottom. It keeps it away from the roots when they don't need it. The roots will take it up when they do need it, And this will get you by for 1 to 2, sometimes up to 3 weeks, depending on your outdoor temperatures and the plant material that you have inside. So I love these self-watering containers, and I love teaming up with Crescent Garden. I've used these for several years now. I've been super impressed with their quality. They are long-lasting, and they're just the perfect design to complement all the flowers that I put in them year after year. Not only that, but the good folks over at Crescent Garden have teamed up with me, and they've given me a promo code. You can get 15% off your entire order through December 31st of 2025. So the rest of this year, these 3 containers from Crescent Garden are their True Drop self-watering system. And this is the dot series that has the texture on the sides. I also love their rim planters, as well as they have some new rectangular and square options that are really cool as well. Check those out at crescentgarden.com. And not only that, if you're lucky enough to see this video on YouTube in the first couple days after it was released, Crescent Gardens is sponsoring a giveaway for us. They're going to give away a 20-inch container for free to one lucky viewer of YouTube. We're going to be giving away live on the air on our local radio show, the KSL Greenhouse. We're going to be giving away one of these Crescent Garden containers, and it's simple to enter to win. All you have to do is make sure you give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Let us know if you've ever used self-watering containers in your yard or not. And if you're lucky enough, you'll be selected to win a 20-inch True Drop dot container from Crescent Garden. And the third tip I talked about for large and luscious containers all summer long is you've got to make sure that you use the right genetics. Just like in humans, 2 small people aren't going to create a tall person. In plants, there's been breeding done on all varieties. Sometimes things are bred to be more compact, sometimes they're bred to be more vigorous. That's definitely the case with petunias, and that's why I want to recommend that you use either wave petunias or super petunias in all of your containers. These are all wave petunias, and I'm just infatuated with how good these look and turned out. Not only that, Pan American Seed, who created Wave, is celebrating Wave's 30th anniversary this year, and that just means they've got 30 years of breeding all sorts of cool, unique colors into their petunia lineup. These are all wave petunias, and a wave petunia will spread anywhere from 18 inches to over 2 feet per plant. You can see there's just a few plants in here. They've already spread about 1 foot so far, and they have another double that to go. So these things will trail down the side of the planter and be covered in blooms from top to bottom, and just put on a show all summer long as they get enough food. One thing about vigorous spreading petunias is they're heavy feeders. You've got to make sure you're fertilizing weekly throughout the summer to be able to realize that kind of show. I love the colors that Wave come in, and this is one of my favorite combos right here. This is Easy Wave Navy Velour, Easy Wave Pink Pearl, which is a new variety just released this year, and Easy Wave Neon Rose. Actually, the Pink Pearl was released for exclusive growers like Olson's Greenhouse this year. You won't be able to find it in other parts of the country until next year, 2026. But this also includes Easy Wave Neon Rose in this combo. Also, if you have a super large container, nothing beats Super Tunia Vista series. Super Tunia has a huge lineup of all sorts of different colors from proven winners of different petunias, but their Super Tunia Vista series, not Mini Vista, but Vista, gets the biggest. These things will spread up to 3 feet per plant, and they come in just a few vibrant colors that I love. So this is Super Tunia Vista Bubblegum, Paradise, and Jazzberry. And this is a simple container. I pair it with a super aggressive Ipomea sweet potato vine and a huge purple fountain grass. And these 3 different plants together is going to make a stunning show all summer long. So whether you use wave petunias or super petunias, if you're going petunias, if they do well in your area, you can't go wrong with spreading petunias from proven winners or wave. But there are more than just petunias that get big and aggressive and will do great throughout the spring and summer. What you want to do is look for something that comes from vegetative propagation. This is as opposed to seed propagation. How can you know what those are? Well, just take a look at brand name plants, and usually you're talking about things that were grown vegetatively. So this is like your Vigoro brand at Home Depot, your Better Homes and Gardens brand at Walmart. And these are things that'll perform and get big in your container. So there are all sorts of other varieties besides petunias like verbenas, calibrachoa, salvia, geraniums, all sorts of things that are bred to either be compact or vigorous, and that you can put in your containers to make them large and lush throughout the summer. So there you have it. Those are my 3 tips for large and lush, bold and beautiful spring and summer containers. Make sure you're following those 3 tips. Make sure you're watering, make sure you're fertilizing and feeding, and you too can have beautiful, large, luscious containers at your home. So if you love tips like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll have more videos just like this coming out all the time. And whether you container garden or not, just keep getting after it, and I'll see you in the yard.